we go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my computer screen. So it's gonna click off of the view that you're seeing right now, and you're gonna see the presentation. You'll still see Gina and I a little bit smaller in the corner.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to hear you. So if you have questions or anything, you can just talk, or Sally, you can just type. I'm not going to mute anybody because I think we're a small enough group that you guys can just let us know. So let's share screen. All right. Okay, everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about swallowing and the signs of dysfunction and keeping your swallow strong. It's a topic that we don't cover. I don't know if we've ever covered it.
No.
It's hard to remember now at this point, but I don't think we ever have. But it's definitely something that we need to talk about. So our objectives today, we want to define what swallowing and dysphagia is. You're going to learn all kinds of new words today. We're going to study normal swallowing. We're going to describe Parkinson's specific swallowing risk, review potential dysphagia interventions, and we're going to discuss strategies for healthy swallowing. So normal swallowing is a smooth, coordinated process that involves a complex series of voluntary and involuntary neuromuscular contractions. It's typically divided into three distinct phases: oral, pharyngeal, and esophageal. So we do it all day long, all night long. We don't think about it. It's usually very smooth, but it's extremely complicated at the same time. Now, dysphagia is a word that I'm going to say a lot. I've already said it a few times. And it basically means a problem swallowing. It's a Greek term that means disordered eating, and it refers to a disruption in the swallowing process anywhere along any of those phases. So here's kind of what your swallow looks like. I have a little video for us to watch.
She's so fancy.
I'm so fancy. My 13-year-old helped me with this. Okay. Everybody
Swallowing
hear it?
consists of the safe transport of saliva, solids, liquids,
Yes.
from the mouth to the stomach. This complex mechanism requires the coordination of the mouth, pharynx, larynx, and esophagus. Each second requires the work of 31 muscles. Swallowing consists of 3 different stages. During the oral stage, the food is taken into the mouth and stimulates the different taste organs. The food is chewed on and wrapped in saliva to form what we call an alimentary bolus. Once the portion is ready to be swallowed, the tongue propels the bolus towards the pharynx. During the pharyngeal stage, the bolus arrives in the throat, which triggers the swallowing reflex. The epiglottis folds down to close the larynx to protect the respiratory.
Okay, all of that happens very, very fast, like split seconds. But this is a very critical part. And the part I want to point out is that this tube right here is your airway. So it's your trachea. It goes straight to your lungs. This tube right here is your esophagus. So it's where we want the food to go. This little piece of cartilage is your epiglottis. It's usually flipped up on the back of your tongue, and when it does its job, it flips down and kind of works like a slide for the food to go down and protects your airway. So that's kind of the most complicated part of it, and I wanted to make sure I pointed that out.
Tracts and to allow the bolus to travel from the throat to the esophagus. The esophageal stage is characterized by the passage of the bolus from the esophagus to the stomach thanks to the relaxation of the upper esophageal sphincter.
All right, now I go back to here. Sorry guys, I have to remember where I'm going. And then this one, I went to here, right? Okay, so we're back. So everybody kind of, did that give everyone kind of an overview of how swallow works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
In the mouth, into the pharynx, which is the part I think most people don't think about before it enters and goes down the throat. Dysphagia can be really serious because if that food moves into the lungs instead of the stomach, it can cause aspiration pneumonia. Any trouble chewing or swallowing can also cause weight loss, malnutrition, dehydration. Also, choking can just obstruct the airway. My sad little fact for the day is that that aspiration pneumonia is the leading cause of death in people with Parkinson's, and that's due to swallowing disorders.
So that's why it's really important to keep your swallowing muscles strong, and there's exercises and things that you can do to promote that, because your swallowing muscles are muscles just like every other muscle in your body, and you can do some things to keep those muscles strong. So Shannon will explain some of those later.
Yep, for sure. All right, here we go. What can go wrong? So yeah, we're going to kind of talk about the negative first. In the pre-oral stage, so that's before the food gets to your mouth. With Parkinson's, especially, we might see a loss of smell. And when you have a loss of smell, food doesn't seem as appetizing. So you just don't even want to eat. A loss of appetite, and then maybe difficulty feeding yourself. So if a person is having difficulty getting food to their mouth, maybe due to tremors or rigidity, then that is in effect difficulty with feeding. The oral phase usually looks like difficulty chewing, either because of teeth or because of muscle weakness, or dry mouth is a big one. And then there's a really unique thing that happens a lot of times in Parkinson's called tongue pumping, and it's related to tremor, but it's where the tongue, instead of propelling that piece of food backwards, it gets stuck in a pumping pattern where it just kind of rocks back and forth, and they can't really get rid of it. And so that oral phase can take a really long time, and that causes a lot of problems. The pharyngeal phase, we what we call premature spillage. So remember I talked about that little piece of cartilage. If food comes over the back of the tongue before that piece of cartilage is ready, then the airway is open and unprotected. And so it spills over and can enter the airway. Also, when there's muscle weakness, things can pool, or there can be residue because the muscles aren't strong enough to kind of squeeze it down. You don't realize, but there's a lot of pockets in there that can hold things. And then when you relax and take a breath, they can enter the airway. An unprotected airway, which would be you weren't ready to swallow, and then reflux. The esophageal phase is that reflux, which enters the pharyngeal cavity, your throat. But also, a lot of times people have poor motility because in Parkinson's especially, our digestion's a little slowed. So that can look like the esophagus not moving like it's supposed to. We may have more problems with reflux because the stomach doesn't empty like it should or like it used to. And then a lot of people have hernias too, right at their esophagus, right there at their stomach. So that causes a lot of problems. Most common in Parkinson's is that tongue pumping. Often a tongue or a lip tremor can make it difficult to chew. A delayed swallow onset. So just like all things are a little bit slower sometimes in Parkinson's, sometimes that delayed, we just kind of forget to swallow quickly. Weak pharyngeal contraction, so weak. So instead of squeezing the food, it's kind of like the food doesn't get squeezed. This is a big one. So we know about multitasking. So sometimes if you're eating and you're talking, or you're eating, you're doing something else, it's a big choking hazard because it's not as easy as it maybe used to be to eat and do something else. And then reflux is another one because of that slow digestion. All right, so these are the signs that you need to look for that might tell you that you're having some swallowing dysfunction. Unintentional weight loss, so you aren't trying to lose weight, but you just keep dropping it. Avoiding certain foods or drinks, so if you or the person that you care about with Parkinson's just is suddenly avoiding drinking water or eating meats. Coughing before, during, or after eating and drinking. All of those are different cues. It may look like choking. It may look like throat clearing even. Every time they take a sip of water, they that's an indication to me that there may be a problem. Drooling is a sign. Food left in the mouth after the meals. A lot of times it gathers at the gums down here on the sides. The sensation of food being stuck in the throat. So I get this complaint a lot, like it's right here. Every time I eat bread, it's right here. That's something we need to do something about. You don't just live with not eating bread because you feel like it's stuck right there. And then frequent heartburn. And heartburn may present as a sore throat. It may present as always having a sour taste in your mouth or as really bad breath. So keep that in mind. Treatments for dysphagia are most effective when they're treated early because symptoms are more mild. So like anything else, we want to treat it right away before it gets into this huge thing. It doesn't mean if you've already let it get out of control that we shouldn't go ahead and still work on it. It just means, you know, if we can catch it early, let's catch it early. Oh, Cindy's in the waiting room. I'm going to go ahead and let her in. It's Cindy. It wouldn't be Cindy if she wasn't late.
Right. Hi, Cindy.
Where is she at? Oh, here she popped down here probably. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the other thing is you need to stay vigilant because Parkinson's is progressive and swallowing abilities can change. So it's important to communicate any changes in eating or swallowing. So just because it was fine then doesn't mean it's fine now. So anytime you have a change, you just want to reach out. You would reach out to a speech language pathologist like myself. We're the ones that evaluate and treat swallowing disorders. And the way that we would evaluate that, it would be by watching you eat, by talking to you. The other tests we can do are a modified barium swallow study and a fiber optic evaluation of the swallow. So I'm going to show you what a modified looks like real quick.
This is pretty cool. I watched this with Shannon earlier today when we were.
So it's just it goes over and over. But when we send you for a modified barium swallow study, this is what it looks like. So it's an x-ray and they give you things to drink. And this is what the speech pathologist sees. And this is a healthy swallow. It goes into the mouth, it comes down. Right there's the epiglottis. And so that's what that looks like. All right. Oh, I gotta.
What does it look like when it's not a healthy swallow, when it's aspiration?
Where I just pointed at the epiglottis, you would see a dark line of barium like go over that way towards the airway, or even worse, like go all the way down.
So it spills over kind of.
Yeah, or sometimes we'll see like it kind of that dark coat, the whole lining of the pharynx. Cindy, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I don't know what I did wrong. I can't see. I can see too, but I see me. I'm a blur.
That's okay.
It's okay. All right, but you can
That's
see and hear us.
perfect. Okay. No, that's fine. I can hear you.
Great. Okay, so some interventions that we would do for swallowing problems are diet modifications, exercises, postures, and E-stem. So over here I have a picture of what E-stem looks like. This is VitalStem. I'm certified to do this treatment, and it is a lot like E-stem that a lot of you have had maybe from a physical therapist. It's going to actually stimulate those muscles and contract them. And then doing exercises with those is basically going to amp up those exercises.
Now, is that just a regular TENS unit?
It is not a regular TENS.
Okay.
Nope. It's specially made to be on the,
Okay.
the front of the throat.
Okay.
But that's a great question. I get that question a lot. There's another type of E-stim that goes one on the back of the neck and then one on the face, and that one works more at the nerve level. And I use that a lot with people who have a slow swallow. So that is another great one. And then the third one I have is a biofeedback. So you can actually see what your swallow looks like on TV. And I really like that too. This is a picture of a diet modification. And I know everybody thinks like, oh, don't cut up my food, don't mash up my food. But I want to show what it looks like. Now, when you're at home, it really looks like, okay, instead of eating crispy French fries, you're going to eat tater tots or mashed potatoes. You're going to choose things that fit into the categories that work best for you. But diet modifications are really our last resort. They're really when we're like, okay, we've gone as far as we can with exercises or with postures, and this is really the adaptation that we're going to make. So I don't ever want anyone to be afraid to address their swallowing for fear of a diet change. Because that's never the first line of defense. It may be temporarily just to keep you safe, but we're always going to circle back and try to get you back to the most regular diet. But
I think,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think that going to Chopped is a good thing.
Good.
I mean, you know, I think that's a small price to pay. Now, the Ground and the Parade, I don't think I'd like too well, but I think anybody that's got any kind of swallowing problems, there's nothing wrong with going to Chopped. It just makes you eat more carefully.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. And a lot of times we do a mixture of Ground and Chopped or Ground and regular. You know, you might see a baked potato with ground meat if meat is the most difficult thing or something like that.
Right.
What exercises often look like are, there's tongue exercises, there's lip exercises, there are exercises for our vocal cords, and we have a lot of exercises. They're called oral pharyngeal motor, and just like Gina said, you have exercises for everywhere else in your body. Of course, you would have exercises for your mouth and throat. Postures, this is an example of a chin tuck. It's everybody's favorite swallowing posture. Sometimes if that epiglottis that we were talking about, that little piece of cartilage isn't working, this is a posture. So when someone drinks, they take the water in their mouth, they put their chin down, and then they swallow. And that can protect the airway kind of in a way artificially if their body isn't going to do it on its own. So that is like a compensatory strategy. So I want to go through a few slides here on xerostomia, which is dry mouth. So it says xerostomia at the top because you may see that word, so I want you to recognize that, but all it is dry mouth. But up to 55% of people with Parkinson's experience this dry mouth to some degree. A lot of times it's medications, but sometimes it has to do more with the nerves. And it really impacts both speaking and swallowing. It's not just uncomfortable. It increases the risk of tooth decay.
Wow.
So I want you to think about like when, you know, trying to talk with a mouth that feels like it's made of cotton, it's very difficult because speech is very fluid and fast-paced and precise. So without that, without that slickness, I guess. What do I want to use? The moisture to kind of be able to move around in there. And then swallowing's the same way. If you don't have enough saliva to form your food into boluses, it becomes a problem. So did you see it? We have more time.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are tips. So chewing sugar-free gum or sucking on a sugar-free hard candies. Just watch out. Some people have stomach problems with sugar-free things, so you want to be careful. You want to limit caffeine because caffeine can dry you out. So can mouthwashes with alcohol. So there are some mouthwashes I listed there that don't include alcohol that would be good and would offer good protection against tooth decay. Tobacco use is definitely going to be a no-go. It's going to make it much more difficult when you're fighting that xerostomia. Sipping water regularly. So I know it feels like it doesn't help. It feels like I drink water and it's still dry, but it does help to just drink it regularly. There are lots of over-the-counter saliva substitutes. So I have those listed there. And my favorite one is the last one, Biotine. It's the one that I use the most. It comes in a spray, it comes in a mouthwash, and it comes in a gum, all of which I like. And I've had different patients have different success with kind of all of them. Also, try to avoid using over-the-counter antihistamines and decongestants because they will really just pull all the moisture out. Also, if you find yourself breathing through your mouth, breathing through your nose will help. And then if your room is dry, you could try adding a humidifier. There are some tips to protect your teeth. So avoiding sugary or acidic foods. Hold on.
Speaking of,
Speaking of, I'm gonna have to drink some water. Yep. Brush with a fluoride toothpaste. You can even ask your dentist if a prescription fluoride toothpaste would be good. Using a fluoride rinse or a brush on fluoride, and then visiting your dentist. So, and even if you are wearing dentures and you don't have teeth, you still want to make sure you're really taking care of your gums and keeping your mouth clean and your entire oral cavity nice and moist. All right. Yep.
I have a drooling problem that we've been trying to stop or slow down for the last year.
Yeah.
And we even tried eye drops underneath the tongue to try to get this gland up. Well, now they suggesting take Botox.
Okay.
In the slabatory.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
So
Any other options?
I think, you know, drooling and Parkinson's, it's typically because of that slowed response to swallow. So you're swallowing less frequently than you used to. And so, believe it or not, your mouth kind of fills up and it spills over. And because of the decreased sensation, you're a lot less aware of it. So, you know, you could try, there's lots of different like awareness tricks, but if you've tried the eye drops, and Botox is probably one of the next medical interventions that I would suggest. But it's really about, you can try, you know, what I would do is like lip exercises.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to strengthen your lips, because if your lips are nice and strong and sealing, then you can keep that inside a little better. It's because our lips get relaxed, and then that allows what's inside to spill outside. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But that's a great question. And so staying strong. So ways to kind of maintain a healthy swallow. Those of you who have done LOUD are very lucky, because the LSVT LOUD exercise protocol has proven effective for slowing the degeneration of swallowing as well as voice. So basically when you're doing that, you're strengthening your airway.
Yeah.
And when you're strengthening your airway, you're helping to protect yourself from aspiration. Because that airway is, those vocal cords on top are strong. They can close tight. And if you have to cough to get something out of your airway, you've got good, strong cough reflex.
So Shannon's exactly right. Just from a physical therapy standpoint, sometimes I work with patients who, I'm working on their pulmonary and their breathing exercises. And one of the things that we teach them is what we call expiratory muscle training. So that blowing out. So think your big ahs, like that's expiratory muscle training. And that is scientifically evidence-based, proven to help protect your swallow. So when I'm helping patients recover from pneumonia or any other kind of respiratory thing, I'm always teaching that expiratory muscle training, and that it's going to help protect their swallow, as well as improve all those breathing muscles.
Yes.
And so we all like work together on it.
And it's so it's voice and swallow same time. It's
like a double
program.
whammy.
So that's why we another reason that we love the Loud program. We love the Loud protocol. It's important to do your protocol because it is going to help you. And just even doing those voice exercises every day brings so much awareness to your mouth, your face, everything, that it helps you be more aware of any changes that occur. So another one is, I'm just going to give you a couple exercises here, talking about those lip exercises. So smacking your lips. So that's one of my favorites to do. I'm pretty good at it. You're good at it. But you can do that all the live long day, as I say, and it's not going to hurt you, but that's going to work on that seal that we were just talking about with drooling. So that's really important because you're kind of building that pressure. And it may start weak, but you want to keep working at it and working at it. For your tongue, licking ice cream or peanut butter. So, you can have an ice cream cone and kind of that action of like licking the ice cream out of the cone. Or if you can't get to the ice cream shop, peanut butter on a spoon, but holding the spoon out. Like, don't just put the spoon in your mouth and suck it off. Hold the spoon out, lick it with the tip of your tongue.
Like reaching out for it.
With the tip of your tongue, kind of scraping and licking it off. So, and then another one is moving a sucker. So you can take a dum-dum and put it in your mouth and move it without your hands to the other side, and then move it back. And that works on that agility that it takes when you're moving food from one side to the other and back and forth. So also a lot of sensation with that. I like it even better if you're using something a little sour, like a lemon. And you're probably going to drool, and that's okay because you're moving a sucker back and forth. It's fine. But moving that back and forth, one side to the other. All right, any questions about those? Okay, last one, and this is more pharyngeal, is an effortful swallow. So there's a lot of swallowing exercises that I wouldn't recommend for you to do if you don't have a deficit. Like I wouldn't say like just do pharyngeal exercises for a normal healthy person. The effortful swallow though is one that anyone can do, and it's only going to strengthen your swallow. So in this one, you're going to press your tongue kind of to the roof of your mouth really hard, and then you're going to swallow as hard as you can. And I like to think about it like I'm swallowing an egg. And that's all it is. Oh, I can't.
Now we need to drink. Yeah.
I used to say like you're swallowing a golf ball, but that sounds really unappetizing. So
yeah,
think about it like you're swallowing something very big, a very big pill, because you want to swallow with all your muscles as hard as you can.
Right. It's kind of like swallowing big, right?
Mhm.
Remember, like we used to teach,
Yes.
we teach you to move big. It's like that big, put all your effort, all
Mhm.
your amplitude into that swallow.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. It's all about amplitude. And you can do this all day. You can sit and watch TV and swallow. You're probably going to fatigue though. So, you know, maybe 3 at a time, take some breaks. But that's a good one to just, again, even building the awareness of what your swallow feels like normally so that you can notice when it doesn't feel quite right.
Mhm.
All right. And this is our quote today, is you do what you can for as long as you can. And when you finally can't, you do the next best thing. You back up, but you don't give up, by Chuck Yeager.
Yeah.
And Gina and I both really, really like that, because we always say taking a plan B isn't giving up.
Right.
Backing up isn't giving up.
Right. So, I mean, if you have to chop your food to make it in smaller pieces, or do the chin tuck to take your drinks, that's not giving up or giving in. It's you know, just coming up with that plan B and moving forward. You know, giving up would be stop eating and drinking altogether.
Exactly.
So it's okay to, you know, work hard at it to stay well, and then decide, you know, what's going to be the best strategy for you. I know one other like simple one, just for like the lip strengthening and is just also to like blow up a balloon.
Ah, yes, that's a great one.
So that takes a lot of that you know, the
Pressure.
smacking. I mean, you really have to work hard, but it's a great way to strengthen. And I think we can all relate to how our cheeks feel tired or our lips feel tired if we blowed up a couple of balloons in a row. So that's a good one. Or even taking like a straw, a drinking straw, or like a bigger water bottle straw and blowing out through it. So blowing out against that resistance is also that like expiratory muscle training, which will help strengthen your lip muscles, your swallow muscles. It took me a while to understand until I read some research on it, like the relationship between breathing out and your swallowing muscles, but it's really all interconnected in there.
Yeah. And I feel like I could go on and on with lots of different things that you could do. But I think, you know, as anything, start slow. And so I hope this gives everybody some ideas of what they can do, and some information about safe swallowing. The other thing we really want to talk about, first of all, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. And we're going to email out the slides. So all the slides that you just saw from Shannon, I know Nancy was taking real good notes.
Did you see?
Yeah.
We saw you being studious.
We'll send that out to you because, you know, when we have our groups, we know that y'all appreciate handouts and information and take homes. So we'll get that out to you as well as the link to this recording. We'll post in, and if you know of anybody that can benefit, you know, you can forward it on as well.
Yeah. And we've got some new YouTube videos coming up, ready to post in the next couple weeks. I've been trying to do one a week so that you guys always have some new stuff to look at and poke fun of us about maybe. But I think it's always, I think it's good to kind of keep fresh. It's kind of our goal for the summer is to try more online things and really try to keep connecting with everyone while we can't be together. So on July 15th, we're going to do this again. We're going to do another Zoom meeting, same back time, same back channel. I think, and we're going to do home exercise.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about, I think it's a challenge we've all discovered on quarantine, myself included, is how can we safely get ourselves motivated to exercise at home. So I'm going to go through some tips, some strategies, some of my favorite ones, some of my best ones, the most effective ones, because I think we all want to know, well, like, what can I do that's the most effective, that takes me the least amount of time?
So that's for your buck.
Yes, that's right. So that's what we're going to talk about in July. And I think it's kind of pertinent to the time frame that we
Mhm.
live in right now and what's going on.
Mhm.
Because with Parkinson's, it is not it's not gone away during quarantine. So,
It did
but
not take furlough.
yeah, it did not take a furlough, Shannon says. But we're finding it being put more upon ourselves, you know, to be able to have, you know, because people are going to their exercise classes or their outpatient centers. So I think it's a really good topic to talk about, and hopefully it'll give people a little bit of a boost too, to know that they can do it. And if you guys ever have questions or want to reach out to Shannon and I, you know, our hotlines are always open.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we get emails sometimes. We really enjoy them. We are still, Gina and I are going to do the Sunflower Symposium. It's going to be virtual, so we'll be sending out more information about how to attend that. So I think all of this Zoom meetings are going to be good practice for everyone being able to be online to support us in that, because we're pretty nervous, but also really excited.
Yeah, right.
So,
Okay.
does anybody have anything else?
Good.
Sally, are you good? I don't know why I yelled, because she can hear me. She just can't talk, but.
Oh.
All right.
Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll get the slides out and the rest of the information to you, and we hope to see you soon again.
Okay.
All right. Very good.
FaceTime. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Here.